So obviously, announcements don't get much bigger than this, and NASCAR is going to the 24 Hours of Le Mans with Hendrick Motorsports. I heard about this yesterday, and I didn't believe it. In fact, I dug so hard and so deep, used pretty much every contact I had in the phone book to try to figure out what the heck was going on. But as it turns out, Hendrick Motorsports is going to the 24 Hours of Le Mans in 2023 as a Garage 56 entry with a NASCAR Next Gen car. It will run unclassified, but it will compete for overall position in the race, whatever that ends up being. It was a little light on details today, but before I give you my thoughts, I want to share with you an interview, or a couple of interviews I did. Number one with World Endurance Championship President Pierre Fillon of the FIA, and also of John Doonan, IMSA President, because those two obviously are two of the big movers and shakers in this deal getting done today. Pierre Fillon, this is a very interesting announcement here. Tell me a little bit about this, because this is historical at the 24 Hours of Le Mans to have a NASCAR stock car there.
Yes, the last time was the first time we have NASCAR in Le Mans was in 1986 with Bill Franks. He brought two cars, if I remember, and the second time it was in 1982 with two Camaro on the starting grid. So this project is something between the past and the future, because it's an innovative car, with the introduction of hybrid system in NASCAR. This is a big step, and so this is a link between the past and the future. And I'm sure for Le Mans it's very interesting. NASCAR is a different culture of motorsport, but it's really to bring this culture in Le Mans. I'm sure the fan will like it. And the last thing is it's another symbol of what we have achieved with Jim, with IMSA and FIA to make the convergence a reality, and to have so many brands at the start of Le Mans and in IMSA also. But Le Mans next year in 23 it will be the centenary. We will have at least six brands of manufacturers, and maybe this is it will be one of the most fantastic grid of the history. So this is having this Garage 56. This is the cherry on the cake.
Well, yeah, that's one thing that's so interesting, because you mentioned it. It's the 100th anniversary of the first 24 Hours of Le Mans, and I'll tell you that this car competing is going to generate tremendous amounts of interest in this country, especially so that there will be hopefully some IMSA teams competing for the overall victory. Talk about WEC's relationship with the United States and how important this country is to your series.
It's very, very important. You know, the history, it's a very old history between US and Le Mans. The history I know, because I'm not so I'm only 60, and my first memories was with Don Panos. We developed the American Le Mans series. Don has this vision of developing Le Mans in US, and when Don sell the IMSA to Jim, at the beginning with Jim we share the same values and share the same vision, and from the beginning we wanted to have this convergence. It was not easy, two different culture, two different technology at the beginning, but in 10 years we worked and we did. And today the dream is true. So it's very important. And for the manufacturers, the US market is very, very important. There is China, but the first market is still the the US. So for us, it's very important to be present. That Le Mans is present in US, and working with John, with Ed, and Jim is a pleasure, and we share the same vision.
John Doonan, IMSA president, tell me a little bit about this announcement, because I have to tell you, you took a lot of people by surprise today.
Well, it's not very often you get to recreate history, so I think there's an element of recreating 1976 and what Bill France Sr. saw as an opportunity to put NASCAR on a global stage. Now with a next-gen car, to be able to do that again, a long journey ahead of us to get prepared. We still, of course, need the ACO to grant that official invitation next January, February, but to bring together the best of the best with Hendrick, with Chevrolet, with Goodyear, and NASCAR, of course, is on a tremendous lift right now, not just with the next-gen car, but with a growing fan base. You saw that with the Coliseum event, and I think you're going to continue to see it with television audience and people at racetracks, young families seeing NASCAR as a tremendous form of entertainment.
John, I got to think that this is going to develop tremendous interest throughout this year and the next in sports car racing. Tell me a little bit about just how important you think it is to get that NASCAR audience to pay attention and get invested in sports cars.
I think it goes absolutely both ways. I think we have an opportunity to get a very loyal NASCAR audience to see what endurance sports car racing is all about. We've seen a lot of crossover. The most recent in Jimmy Johnson, Chase Elliott doing the Rolex 24, Jimmy running with us throughout the IMSA championship last year, the endurance races on the Michelin Endurance Cup, and then vice versa. I think there's a very loyal sports car racing fan that ought to take a peek at NASCAR. If you haven't watched any of the races, the restarts are bonkers. It's truly, with the next-gen car, anybody's race. And so we have an opportunity as a collective in the sport to grow audience through both platforms. And with more road course races on the NASCAR schedule, there's a huge opportunity here for all of us.
Last question, it's an important one. The current Le Mans TV deal isn't fantastic, let's just put it that way. This is obviously generating a ton of interest, particularly in the United States. What can be done on your end and maybe NASCAR's end with maybe your great TV partners to maybe get the 24 Hours of Le Mans in front of a bigger audience?
We're super fortunate on the IMSA side. Our races are produced by our NASCAR Productions group out of Charlotte with a tremendous broadcast team. I have a sneaking suspicion that the lift of today's announcement of the journey that we're about to embark on and the project that we're going to try to do for 2023 will definitely get people thinking not only about the actual broadcast itself, but some of the storytelling. How the car is built, the driver selection, the testing that's going to need to be done on this next-gen car to get it ready for 24 hours. So I think there's a lot of content there. Now it's going to be our collective job to share it.
So, got quite a few thoughts, as you can imagine. Number one, I think, and maybe it came across in the questions I asked Doonan and Pierre, but to me, this is huge for sports car racing, particularly the 24 Hours of Le Mans in the United States. I think the interest level, as you're probably already seeing on social media, and I certainly already have on social media, I think there will be a lot of people tuning in to see how the NASCAR Cup car does, and then hopefully also be kind of hooked by the fact that there will be American teams competing in the hypercar category through IMSA's LMDH subcategory, I guess you could call it. We call it GTP here. We make it easy, but it's a little more difficult out there. But in terms of this car, we learned a few things. I'll give you some quotes that Rick Hendrick kind of talked about here. It really does sound like that this car is going to almost certainly be hybrid powered. They would not confirm that, but Garage 56, traditionally, if you think about the Delta Wing, the Nissan Zeode, a few other of those cars that have tried at Le Mans in the Garage 56 have been some form of alternative power or an alternative way of thinking about auto racing. And I would not necessarily say that the next-gen car is all that groundbreaking. However, if they put a hybrid system on it, maybe do some other technological things to it, I think you could really see quite a difference. Now, or something that's valuable enough, I guess, to be considered a Garage 56 entry. And I think this car will be heavily modified because one of the things, kind of as I was spitballing this idea, I'm like, is this for real? Yesterday was kind of the logistical nightmare of getting a NASCAR Cup car to race with hypercars, LMP2s, and GTs. Because, if you just went with a stock car, you're going to be going 210, 220 miles an hour down the Mulsanne, and then you're going to have to get that thing stopped. So, I think we're going to see a very different NASCAR stock car than kind of what we're used to. I think Bob Pockris was the one who joked, yes, the car will have lights. Obviously, 24-hour race, that would make sense. The goal for Rick Hendrick, he was pretty clear about it. Number one is to finish the race. No NASCAR stock car has ever finished the 24 hours of Le Mans. But the other thing is that they want to be competitive, and whatever competitive is, the only thing he would say is they hope to not be last. The other thing that I kind of found interesting, and you knew they were going to get asked about this, are NASCAR Cup drivers potentially being a part of this program. They were very coy about that one. And the other thing, of course, is that technically this entry isn't real yet because they have to be invited, and that's at the beginning of next year. I think, I'll tell you what, guys, spoiler alert, I think they're going to get the invite. But more importantly, they are going to have to come up with drivers, and NASCAR is really going to have to find a way to make this work, because one of the things that Steve Phelps, who was also here, was talking about is they don't want to give Hendrick Motorsports an advantage. So I, again, imagine that this car is going to be heavily modified. They're going to test quite a bit, and I would not be surprised one bit if NASCAR takes a break in their schedule to be able to accommodate this effort. Hopefully they do, because I think, a Kyle Larson or a Chase Elliott or Jimmy Johnson even, of course he's not racing with NASCAR anymore, but he certainly has sports car experience. Coming over there will only kind of enhance the effect that having a NASCAR stock car in the 24 hours of Le Mans will do for this, not only for this sport, but for NASCAR and, of course, for the 24 hours of Le Mans. So, What a weird day. I hope you guys, the comments are going to be absolutely insane on this one, so I'm looking forward to reading those. We've got a year and a half to meme this thing, and I think we will. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be fun to see how this develops. I think there's going to be a ton of interest in the testing of this car. Man, I can't wait. So thank you guys so much for watching. More coverage later today. World Endurance Championship qualifying today. Then there's Sebring qualifying tomorrow, the World Endurance Championship race. And then, of course, the 12 hours of Sebring. And then I'm flying to Texas for IndyCar because I'm absolutely insane. Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been David Land on YouTube. Subscribe for more motorsport content, and I will see you in the next video.